are these people?
And we're going to go over to now how the Trump administration is coming after everyday Americans and everyday non-citizens, specifically people who are living here. And that's just the start, because it's going to start there, and then it's going to move to the dissident people, the people that challenge the Trump administration. So here's one. Another man ordered home by a federal judge, and the Trump administration refusing again. Now, I'm not familiar with Desert in Bloom as a publication, but I read this article and I thought it was outstanding. All right. So talking about CECOT. Before the barbed wire and prison guards, before the courtroom battles, before his name leaked through a government redaction mistake, he was just Christian. That's how the court referred to him, Christian. No last name, no family history, just a pseudonym meant to protect a 20-year-old Venezuelan man from retaliation while lawyers fought to bring him home. A man who never should have been deported in the first place. God, how many stories have we heard like that already? His real name, as we now know from a leaked court metadata and family testimony, is Daniel Lozano Camargo, and what happened to him isn't just an immigration story. It's another in a series of constitutional violations many Americans watch idly. Here's what happened to him. He was 20 years old. He had tattoos, yes. A rose, a pair of praying hands, the names of his grandmother and the little girl he helped raise. He also had something else, a pending asylum case, a valid work permit, and the full protection of a 2024 court settlement that said he could not be deported until his claim was heard. But the Trump admin sent him to CECOT anyway. They called him Christian in court, a pseudonym to keep him safe. But again, thanks to the metadata left in a redacted ICE document, we now know the truth. Christian is Daniel, and Daniel is sitting in CECOT, the most violent prison in El Salvador, shaved, shackled, and disappeared.
What country you from?
Daniel came to the U.S. in 2022. At 17, he crossed the border alone. He was processed as an unaccompanied minor. He did everything he was supposed to. He was placed in a shelter, then released to a family. In Houston, he started a car detailing business. He met a woman. He helped her raise her daughter. He applied for asylum. He followed every legal process available to him. He did what he was supposed to.
Right away.
Then came 2 drug charges. And people are allowed to come to this country and declare asylum. That is not illegal.
Uh-huh.
Then came 2 drug charges, both nonviolent, both tied to survival in a new country with no safety net. One in June for a small amount of coke. Then another in November. He wasn't selling and he wasn't hurting anyone. He was snorting coke. Not good, especially the father of a the pseudo father of a child. He was 19 trying to cope. I never did coke, but I did drugs when I was 19. Like many young people, especially those who've experienced trauma, he made mistakes. He took responsibility. We experiment with drugs in our teens and early 20s. A lot of people do. He even accepted a plea deal, served part of a 120-day sentence. He served his time and walked out with plans to move forward. And that's when I seized him. We caught was this in West Virginia, maybe, or Maryland? Even then, Daniel had rights.
Like
Under the 2024 federal settlement, individuals like him could not be deported until their asylum cases were resolved. But on March 15th, the government put him on a plane anyway. The same flight as Kilmar Abrego Garcia and Richard Duarte Rodriguez. They didn't send him to Venezuela. They sent him to El Salvador, to CECOT. Why? U.S. District Judge Stephanie Gallagher ruled that...
Why?
Oh, stop.
Why?
I didn't want to hear that voice.
Why?
Stephanie Gallagher ruled that Daniel's deportation was not only illegal, but it was a blatant defiance of the court's authority. They don't give a fuck. Trump administration is fighting the courts. They want to strip the courts. It's at least every judge that Trump didn't appoint. that isn't a Federalist Society Leonard Leo sycophant controlled and owned by corporations. The 2024 settlement agreement, which the federal government had willingly entered into and in which Gallagher herself approved, clearly barred the deportation of unaccompanied minors with pending asylum cases. He came here as an unaccompanied minor, so therefore he's being tried under this asylum case still as an unaccompanied minor. So what we see again is the Trump administration welching on deals that the Biden administration made and tearing it up. This is what he did with the Iran agreement with Obama back in 2017, and he's still 2018, and he's still crying about them violating the JCPOA that he fucking tore up. He loves to welch on the deal and then act like other people still need to be held to it. But the admin didn't just skip to the end. It actively undermined the court's order. Rather than begin the lawful process of returning Daniel to the U.S. because nobody leaves CECOT alive, the Justice Department submitted an indicative ruling, a preemptive denial of his asylum claim issued outside any formal hearing or process, as if to excuse their refusal to comply. Well, he was going to get denied anyway. Gallagher wasn't having it. She rejected the move unequivocally and reaffirmed her directive. The government must facilitate Daniel's return. That was weeks ago. Not only has the admin refused to act, they've given no evidence that they intend to comply. Gallagher gave them time. She gave them the benefit of the doubt, but they've chosen inaction, and in doing so, they've chosen to ignore the rule of law. All these law and order motherfuckers, right? Daniel's case is not an isolated defense. In the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, another man illegally deported to El Salvador despite standing judicial order barring his removal, the admin has similarly refused to act. Even after the Supreme Court upheld a lower court's ruling that his deportation was unlawful, the government has dragged its feet, just like they did with Ramesia Ozturk. And remember that Mahmoud Khalil is still sitting in an ICE detention center in Louisiana. They delayed proceedings. They've ignored deadlines. Judge Paula Ginnis, who oversees that case, has been forced to demand sworn testimony from officials just to determine what, if anything, has been done. And the answer is nothing. This isn't negligence. It's a pattern. One federal judge after another has issued legally binding orders, and one after another, this administration has either ignored them or tried to work around them. This isn't just defiance of a single judge. It's a constitutional crisis playing out in silence. All right. And this was, by the way, part of Project 2025 that all the shit libs had their hair on fire about. This was a plan. Daniel is still in CECOT, still waiting. So is Richard. Kilmar is still in another prison. And so were hundreds of other innocent men.
I always felt like that Project 2025 thing was like the same thing when they took the Romney plan, Romney Care.
Yeah. Yes,
like
they
the
would
same
have
thing.
watered,
The Democrats would have done the same
watered
shit.
down Project
It just would have been
2025.
called something different.
Well, they were going to incorporate parts of it into the Harris administration anyway. We knew that was going to happen for sure. If YouTube decides to kiss the Trump administration's ass, they certainly won't remonetize us for that. So if you're able to, and it means, please support the independent media you want to see. Support INN. Throw us a couple bucks over on ko-fi.com/Indie News Network. Best way to do it. Cash App, $Indie News Network. PayPal.me/Indie News Network. And at INNnewsletter.com or over at IndieMediaToday.com. That's my newsletter where you see the thing above my head. Support independent media, kids, because we need it more than ever. And I love you. And have a good night, fam.
Keep listening to what boats have to tell you.
No! We just fucking lost the stream!
Can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen? 50,000 died, and now we know our mission. We form a militia, make Congress a prison.